not here to lecture you. I think we're just here to share experiences. And I would inspire you with my own stories and probably draw from points that has helped me along the way. These are points that I didn't set out as points before I started my journey. But these are things that I learned in hindsight. These are things I learned by looking back at my journey and seeing things that has worked for me, things that I've done, things that I've learned along the way, not necessarily done, but learned along the way. I think I have one question though before I start. The question is, how many people are photographers in this space? Photographers? Everyone? How many people are videographers? Do we have any class or category of creatives other than photographers and videographers? Please, we know you. We know you. Yeah, but that's very valid. Because these days, things are changing rapidly. What obtained 10 years ago is not what obtains now. Even as a photographer, sometimes you still have to hire a content creator for yourself as a photographer because you can't do it all. I am a photographer. I wasn't always a photographer. I started my journey 10 years ago. 10 is stuck in my brain. I started my journey about 12 years ago, actually, as a photographer, and it's one that has been very interesting. So, one thing I'll say is navigating or building a profitable photography business, I think we need to make the distinction. We need to just not stop at business. It needs to be business in Nigeria. Because Nigeria is a peculiar variable to everyone because Nigeria is just different. If you've had like success in other countries, I've had stories of like companies that have huge successes, even in other African countries, and they come to Nigeria and they struggle, and it just doesn't work. So Nigeria is a very peculiar market, and even for creators, even for creativity, it's also very peculiar because there are things that even as people in Nigeria that are peculiar to you, that makes the journey of creativity or the journey as a creative entrepreneur different for you. First thing I'll say is, number one, passion. Passion is very important. I probably will pick at random, maybe like 2 or 3 people, and then I'll ask you guys to share like probably your stories coming into, or what you did before and why you chose photography. IJ, I would ask you to share. Let me say Nike, you, yes. And then the last person, I would say you, yes. So just randomly, just give me like a story of why photography, why you started photography. Was it passion? Was it something that someone suggested, and what has sustained you?
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Ijoma. So I started photography because I saw a lot of people using cameras. Very funny. I saw a lot of people using cameras, so I was trying to understand what was happening, especially because I saw them. So I traveled and I saw people using long lenses, short lenses. So I was wondering, what exactly are they taking? And that's how I started photography. So I studied HR in University of Lagos, so it's kind of different. And then I went into media, so digital marketing for about a year, and then I started photography full-time. Even when I was still doing photography, I had different things I was doing. So I ran a logistic firm. I had a fashion clothing line before I started photography full-time. Yeah.
My name is CJ, Bishops by CJ. I'm a photographer, wedding, portrait, and corporate photographer in Lagos here. Before I was into IT, website development, and all of that. I always wanted people to see things the way I see them. I know like it could be a bottle, this bottle now can be here, and everybody in this room have a different perspective to the bottle. So I went to the world to see how I particularly see this bottle. And I think that's why I got into photography, and so far it has been good for me. And I have a chance to meet you now physically and other great minds as well, and it's amazing for me. Thank you.
For me, I'd loved photography from junior secondary school. I've always been somebody who loved art, but because of our system jam, so I got admission into the University of Lagos, studied photography, because as at that time, I went to a federal government school, so we do WAEC, we do NECO. I was the only one who did fine art. My results for fine art came out as a D in my WAEC, and admission had clicked for Unilag, so I had to just do geography. But I made a certain mistake at that time, and I chose not to make that mistake because I struggled with geography. Because at that time, we still had that fear that we didn't have, I didn't have the knowledge, because I said almost immediately that I could run Yabatech and Unilag and do what I wanted to do, because I loved visual arts. So when I finished from Unilag, I decided that it was photography. It's another aspect of visual arts I like.
One thing runs through the different people that have spoken. Did they study photography in school? I studied computer science at the Polytechnic, Ibadan. I went on to study computer and information science at Leeds City University, also twice. So I didn't study. There was something that was just calling me about photography. And my story was almost close to ease because I was a computer programmer. Back then, people would call me, oh, we need a website. We need the website to be like, they probably will send me one international website. And when they give me pictures, the pictures are like, what is this? Even if I build the website and it's so good, once I put that picture, the website breaks. That's what happens. So that was one of the things that just drew me closer to photography. Like, oh, what if when people give me websites to do and they give me bad pictures, I could tell them, oh, you know what, we're not going to use this picture. I'm going to take pictures of whatever it is that you needed. So in my mind, I wasn't thinking of that as commercial photography, but that was what it was then. And that was one of the reasons why I said, you know what, I'm going to study this photography. It wasn't the main reason. One of the main reasons was actually one of my hobbies, Scrabble. I used to travel around the world playing Scrabble, right? I was at the World Championship at some point. I used to travel all playing Scrabble. That was my passion. And I thought, why not buy a camera? And whenever I travel, I can always document these cultures. I can always take pictures of people and hold memories back rather than just traveling and coming back without anything. Because back then, smartphones weren't really smartphones like this. You couldn't take pictures on your phones. I'm talking 2008, 2009, 2010, thereabouts. The phones weren't really as great as they are now. So I thought, you know what, let me just buy a camera and start up. And that was pretty much long and short of my story about coming into photography. So I didn't go to photography school to learn composition or to learn the business of photography or to learn painting, because what you will typically do if you go to art school will be to learn appreciation of art, history of art, painting. You have to major in one of these things. Do you understand? We didn't business of photography or commercial photography. We didn't learn all this. We were just basically winging it. And whenever there's something that shows up on YouTube, these opportunities that you guys have now, we never had. We never had, there was no gathering. Now almost everybody is doing, if camera joint does not do like a stage lighting setup or a broadcast workshop, Tosin Junaid will do portrait workshop. He will do his hangout. I will do my review. Now there's information. Now people are opening. I mean, there's more information right now than before. So a lot of us learned the hard way. A lot of us learned things along. We made mistakes. We made a whole lot of mistakes. But I'm happy, I'm glad that the mistakes we made did not break the industry, right? We made the mistakes, we learned, we corrected along the way. And I think that's one of the things that we need to learn from these experiences. I'm happy for all the experiences I have. Like, I don't regret one bit of it. Yeah, I don't regret. I've done a trip around Nigeria before, and we ended being beaten up by soldiers, right? We got beat up by soldiers. We got arrested, handcuffed. This was maybe like 10 years ago. I'm not sure. Almost 9 years ago. It was when Boko Haram was really dealing with. We got arrested. But those experiences are part of my story now. What am I saying? Your experiences, whatever it is that you're going through, even in photography now, is someone else's lesson for you to give it to the world, and someone will learn from it. Someone will gladly learn from it. All my experiences, I appreciate them because without those experiences, I won't be who I am today. I don't have regrets. I take everything. Like, everyone has their different stories. She did geography, HR, you did IT, computer science, whatever it is. There are some aspects of what she did that will be helping her now as a business owner. There are some aspects of what you used to do that will definitely help you now as a business owner. There's some aspects of the geography that you did that will give you some insightful knowledge about whatever it is, even if it's Nigeria. If they say, oh, come and do photography, tourism now, you would have more knowledge than the next person, although we're the same creatives. So perspective matters also. And embrace all your experiences and make use of them. Like right now, I'm doing a course in sports administration. From photography to sports administration, what's the correlation? Do you get it? But I'm going to class. I was in class from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. yesterday. Today I was supposed to be in class. It's just because we already said, oh, doing this. Those are experiences. They are never a waste because they will come in handy at one place or the other. Now, the next thing I'll say is we've talked about passion. So passion is already a very, very important element of this because there'll be times that you will cry. I'll tell you a very, very good, very funny experience. So I came from Ibadan, right? My parents were in Ibadan. And I think this was maybe like 10 years ago or so, or 11 years ago. So when I came to Ibadan, when I started photography, I was living in Lekki. After NYSC, I told my parents, guys, thank you very much. I'm not doing this computer science again. This is what I'm going to do now, photography. And I mean, it was encouraging from my parents. My parents was like, okay, whatever it is that you do it well. So we support you. We know that you do photography well. That was what they said, right? Well, not everybody was. My uncle was like, photography? Are you serious? Photo? That was what he said. And my vow was, you know what, I would make my parents proud. Whoever is proud of me at that point, I'll make them proud eventually. That was what I said to myself. And whoever I was thinking I will fail, that, oh, I will still come and beg us, I would disappoint them. That was the resolve to myself. And I did everything to make sure that happened. Right? The story was, so I brought a 1978 Benz. That's straight engine, Benz 200. That was my dad's own from Ibadan. I did it up, I brought it to Lagos. And that was what I was rocking Lagos with. Gladly cruising the streets of Lagos. Whenever I had shoots on the island. This was after I entered bus, Dafo bus with stands and everything. Oh. This was after I slept off inside bus when I was going to Aoyaya or something to do a 30,000 Naira shoot. Thereabouts. So we have experiences, we have stories. So I brought this Benz to Lagos. I did it up. And one of these fateful evenings, I finished from the studio. I was going back home. and coincidentally it started raining. And I got to Agidingbi, just I think where there's a mechanic village. After the mechanic village, before I think there's a Domino's Pizza now around that side, and the car just stopped working inside the rain. I think pretty much I didn't have any cash on me. I didn't have. I doubt if I had cash even in my account. So I came down. I was trying to push the car. Benz 200 straight engine, 1974. It didn't move an inch. So I was on the road, and it was pouring, and inside the rain, I started crying. Who sent me a message? Who told me to come to Lagos? I remember vividly, like who told me to come to Lagos? I could just be in my father's house, just chilling. But the next day, I was just like, well, this time next week, I'll buy a new car. And I did. The moral of the story was, if I was complacent, if I was contented with going back to Ibadan, to my parents' house, I probably won't be in front of you today. That's just it. So there will be tough times, but you need to know that those tough times are building you up, and you need to keep going, because there will be a breakthrough eventually. That's one of the lessons from that experience. So the next thing would be branding it's not just your logo, right? When you're branding, it's not just about your logo. And we're all from different walks of life. We're not branding experts. Essentially, for me, photography is like a bootstrap. Like when you start, you're the secretary, you're the photographer, you're the retoucher, you're the makeup artist sometimes, you're the stylist, you're the one scouting for locations. You're everything, you're bootstrapping. That's what it is. You're the one that, my first website, obviously, because I was doing websites, I designed it. My first logo, I designed it. My first business card, I designed it myself. I remember all these things, right? But I wasn't a branding expert. But I just knew that branding was just not about your logo. Branding is about every other thing. Branding is about how you sound. Branding is about how you respond to people's inquiries. Branding is about how you project yourself or you present yourself, right? It's about how you smell, right? That's one of the things like a lot of photographers take for granted. But it's in every single thing you do. You have to be deliberate with every attempt to show up and show yourself or show your work. It's about how you show your work. But don't overthink it, just do it. Right? We didn't get there in one day. So you won't be a branding genius in one day. It's not going to happen overnight. And if you're waiting for perfection, it will never happen. Because you just keep waiting and thinking. But once you start doing, everything you need for it to happen will start falling in place. So branding is so important. But also, even if you brand the most and you don't have a good product, then it's still very, very, yeah, you probably will sell for the first few years. Then people will discover that, this guy is just brand, is just packaging. There's actually really no substance. So even with your branding, you need to have substance to back it up, right? But everything goes hand in hand. Because if you have good stuff, substance, and you don't brand well, you're still in the same place. Do you understand what I'm saying? They're amazing photographers, but nobody knows about them, right? Branding, it's deliberate, it's important. It's easier now than it was before, right? Because you could take a picture now and you can be an overnight success. Many years ago, it wasn't that easy because there was no Instagram, there was no Facebook. You probably have to get published, either in a magazine or a newspaper, or do an exhibition for people to even see your work as a photographer. Now, you can self-publish, you can post a picture on Instagram, and someone far away in California will see it and too dead not to post you, and before you know it, you're Mommy Z. Right? So it's easier now than it was before, but it's still very important to do good work. Because good work sells itself. Right? It sells itself, but you must also brand your good work. Because then and only then will it be sustainable. Right? Your good work will keep getting referrals because you've branded yourself well. I'll tell you a story. I got a job once, and this person called me and said, oh, we need this. We need you to come to Abuja. And I got to Abuja. They didn't even argue about my price. This was like a few years ago. And I got to Abuja, and I got to the place where we're doing the shoot. And the person asked me, do you know why we hired you? I said, someone recommended me. He said, no. I said, you saw my work and it was good. He said, no. Yeah, we saw your work, yes, we know that, but that's not the reason. I said, why? I said, the first time we called you, we loved the way you answered the phone. So it's important. You'll be surprised. But people are seeing what you're doing. They might be silent. They might not say anything. But when there's a right opportunity for them to say something or for you to recommend you, they will. But people are watching. That's why it's always important to put yourself out in the best light possible, because people are watching. Right? I don't know if I will want to hire someone that I've watched, and once, twice, 3 times, I've seen that they've had conflicts with other vendors or people are saying, oh, it's when I see no refunds, and it's a red flag. Because why are you putting no refunds on your page? I mean, people might have different business models, and they might have, but they're just things that are synonymous with people that you know that there's so much trouble. I personally refunded millions because I don't want Wala. That's not my brand is an easy brand. My brand is not a loud brand. My brand is not about buzz booze, right? I know what works for me. That's the way I branded myself. So if you are going to give me a headache, I step aside. I prioritize peace of mind above being busy, right? Peace of mind above being busy at this stage. Even at any stage. I remember once, there's this client of mine that hired me, maybe like 7, 8 years ago. And he said, okay, no problem. I'm shooting some influencers. This was before influencers became a thing, actually. I'm shooting some influencers. Please come to the address, this date, this time. And I was there. I was early. So that's another thing. Part of your brand has to be early. I went to shoot some HNI I say months ago. And as soon as I got to the place, they're like, you're already here. I said, yes, I'm here. I said 9 o'clock. I said, I don't know why I just had it in mind. Or maybe someone suggested it, that photographers normally come late. And we assumed you come late. I said, no, ask the person that. I said, I don't come late. And my people know. If we're going somewhere by 7, if you're not there, it will be conscientious of you to say, okay, please, where's the address? I'll come and meet you. My wife will tell me, you're still going to go there, go and wait. I say, it's better I wait than for them to wait for me. Right? Because if I wait for them, I can vex and say, you guys have wasted my time. I'm going. Or if I come there late, it's me that will be begging. So I got there, I spent the entire evening there, and out of 4 influencers or so, about 1 of them showed up. So we did the shoot for the one of them. It got to time to get paid. And my client said, so because out of 4 of them, only one showed up, we're dividing the money into 4. I'll pay you one part of it. I said, what? I said, no, I'm sorry. I'm not going to do that. Because I spent my entire time here waiting for them. It wasn't my fault that they didn't come or show up. So, if you're not going to pay me my full money, I'm sorry. It's not a problem. I'll deliver the pictures for the one person that came. But I'm not going to take the payment that you're going to pay me. And that was what I did. The person was shocked. But what then happened was, like maybe a month or 2 months after, I got a call from this person again. I have something to do. And I think at that point it was like a 1-year-old birthday. Don't do like those things. And I was like, okay, no problem. I think what I charged that before was like 200K for that job. I said, okay, no problem. It's 400K. I was angry. I was like, I'll use this money to change this person, somebody that didn't pay me for. It's 400K. I said, okay, no problem. Ground, credit alert. Some months after that, another call. I want to do, my church is doing a bazaar. It's a Catholic church or something. We want you to set up a photo booth and do this. No problem. It's 1 million. Okay, I'll tell the committee. Ground, alert. So in like 2 months or 3 months, this person that offered me 50K, because I did only 1 out of 4, has paid me 1.2 million or 1.4 million for 2 other jobs. Why? Because I stood my ground. There was integrity. I delivered the pictures. And I told you, I'm not suffering. I have nothing to do with your picture, although I was suffering back then. But that singular act cemented our respect for me in her mind. And before the end of that year, I probably got jobs worth like almost 10 million from the woman. The same woman that didn't pay me 200K. So when people say burning bridges now, right? Everybody is, what do they call that thing? Is it burning bridges or cut off? There's a slang for it now. The cancel culture. For me, I never engage in cancel culture because I'm not sentimental about business. I won't cancel you. I might just add an extra 0 to the bill, but I won't cancel you. I will hope that the extra 0 will cancel you. But if you decide to show that, don't worry, then good, we'll do business together. So I won't be sentimental. I'm not sentimental about business. It's business. And it's important for you to also not be sentimental about it. I don't know, but different people have different temperaments. That's just the way I am. That's the way I handle business. So yeah, that's the moral of that story. The next thing will be work hard and work smart. Working hard is not the same as working smart, but it's important, especially nowadays. If there are technologies that can help you work faster, don't say, oh, Photoshop is the only thing I've known, or Lightroom is the only thing I've known, so therefore I'm going to stick to Lightroom. Things are changing so rapidly now. I remember I did a shoot for a client, not a shoot, an event. This client needed a particular picture that was like, oh, we need a picture of Jim Ovia, Otedola, and this person together. And we can't find it in your collection. And the only picture I had of that person, one person was drinking something in front of them, and it was just, that was the only picture that we had from that entire event. And it was like the whole event would be cancelled if they don't get that one picture. What did I do? I just carried that picture. I carried it into AI, generative, what's it called? Select the person drinking stuff in front of them. Enter. After about 1 minute, it generated the image for me. Can you imagine this AI reconstructing Agbada, reconstructing someone else's hand where it's supposed to be, that the other person was blocking. And that was the only way I was able to submit that image. I'm like, oh, thank God. Next day, it was in the newspaper. But nobody will know that I didn't have that picture. It was AI. So work hard and work smart. Especially even when you start hiring hands to help you. You can't hire hands to help you and they don't understand your work ethic or they don't understand the kind of person that you are. If you don't do a thorough job, there's a very high likelihood that the people that you hire won't do a thorough job. So it's important. It's important that they know that this is how, oh, if boss wasn't around, this is how he would do it. So therefore, let's do it this way. Another point is patience. Patience is important. If I wasn't patient, that client, I would have sparked for her. Like, what is wrong with you? But patience is important. It's understandable now that people want it now, and they want it. I think the culture of our clients is now permeating into our own practice. I think one of the things that I hate most about photography now is the culture of now. You've not even left the event that you are shooting. They're asking, can we get a picture for social media? We need to post now. Come on. Why? Right? That's the culture of now. I think one thing that we need to be able to do is how to deal with these little cultures that we see that are coming up. If you used to shoot in hotels 10, even maybe like 6, 8 years ago, you understand that we never used to pay for hotels. All of a sudden, it was Oriental that started. Oriental started with 150K. Before you know it, the next door neighbor, 4 Points by Sheraton. Before you know it, Radisson down the road. Now, there's nowhere you go that they will allow you shoot for free again. Because they understood that there was a need that people had now, and they had to charge for it, and they had to capitalize on it. Right? We know that there's a need that our clients have now, where they want pictures now. We're not content creators. We are photographers. We don't just take pictures, we make them. We need time to work. So if you understand that your client, one of their requirements is this, oh, no problem. We'll have an extra hand. As we're doing the event, we'll have a runner. So we have to pay a runner. We have to pay a retoucher. Right? Well, the job of the runner is to collect cards from whoever is taking pictures and give it to the retoucher. We have like 2 retouchers. So each retoucher will cost an extra 200K or 250K, and then the runner would get probably 100K. So for us to deliver pictures immediately, it will cost an extra 500K. Simple. You solve your problem. You're creating more jobs, right? And solving your client's problem. Hire the best people. Like when you're looking out to hire, right now, like you need to understand things that you can't do yourself. And if you can't do it yourself, or if you don't do it excellently yourself, you need to get the best people to do it for you. For instance, my website. If I don't want to use any of the available technologies that are easy for me to just do it myself, I'll get someone that is good. I'll call CJ. Guy, I know you don't do websites again, but do you have someone that can help me run my website? And it's very good. So you need to know that their work is good. And not just websites. Even when you're hiring assistants, you don't want to hire an assistant that will go and disgrace you. Right? You don't want to hire an assistant that will go and be talking to your client behind your back. Yes, I can do it for cheaper. Do you understand? So it's important to understand that hiring good people is also, having a good team is very, very important for success. Because they will do the work. and you see the effect. And even when you're not around, they know what to do. I have two more points to quickly talk about, and those are like, they are almost counterintuitive to what we're talking about, but they still play a huge role. The first one is diversify. Diversify. Nobody says it's photography that you have to use to blow. It could be something else. But when you eventually blow, it will still affect your photography because you will blow with your photography too. Right? Diversify. There's no harm in it. As soon as you see something else that you feel like can add an extra layer of income into your revenue sources, it doesn't ought to do that. Just do it. It could be you having an opportunity in real estate. Just do it. It could be investing. Just do it. It could be content creator. Right? Diversify. Don't be a stickler to one thing and say, oh, this is the thing I was called to do in life. I don't believe we are called to do just one thing in life. That's why my life is full right now. It could be counterintuitive too, because you need to concentrate. But what I always believe is, once you've done something long enough, you should have structures in place for it to run, even when you're not there. And once you have those structures in place, and you have standards that you uphold, and those structures uphold for you, it's easy. Right? It's easy for you to be able to do other things. And the next thing I wanted to say also, please, is in the same region with diversification. Allow distraction. Because if you're only focused on photography, you can burn out. But when you allow distraction in your life, some people's distraction is FIFA 23. My own distraction right now is archery. Right? Your own could be, it could even still be related to photography, but your own could be traveling to an unknown place once in a month or once in 3 months, every time. So just go and do like a project on, oh, some people come and fetch water in this river. It doesn't have anything to do with your photography practice, but it's a distraction, but it's a creative distraction. Because what you do, what it does for you is after that distraction, when you come back to work, you come back with fresh perspective and you're energized.